The Orlando Magic roster is a little bit different at the guard spot, so let's meet the new players, starting today with Jase Richardson, Matt Sheehan of Locked On Spartans, on today's Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is July 3rd, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, we are chatting with Matt Sheehan of Locked On Spartans to get the full scope, the full details on what Jase Richardson brings to the Orlando Magic and how he might fit with the team. I will note, we recorded this podcast Monday afternoon before free agency started, but as you'll see, I am deeply previewing that we were expecting the Magic to sign Tyus Jones, and so that is acknowledged throughout the show. So I just want to make that very, very clear before we get into that. Before we do any of that, though, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, whether we're your first listener of the day, whether you're listening to us right when we upload or whenever throughout your day. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Truly appreciate all of our everydayers who are 5-day-a-week listeners. We're still going 5 days a week strong until the end of Summer League. So lots of fun still to come here on Locked On Magic. It's all part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. I don't want to waste too much more time. Let's get right into my conversation with Matt Sheehan of Locked On Spartans to learn a little bit more about Magic draft pick Jase Richardson. And this is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic for those listening on Locked On Spartans, joined by the host of Locked On Spartans, Matt Sheehan. Go green, go white. Magic fans are now officially, I don't know, are we officially Michigan State fans now with all the Michigan players on the rosters? We just assume we're always taking the Michigan guys, so I'm glad we're diversifying a little bit to the better program in the state.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Because there's very few things that us, Spartan fans, Wolverine fans bond over. It's the Detroit Lions, Detroit Tigers, of course, but now it's the Orlando Magic because it's not just Jase who we're going to talk about, but Gary Harris had a nice little stint there. Yeah. So yeah, there's a little melting pot of just hatred down there in sunny Orlando, which I like. So yeah, I'm a Magic fan. Of course I am.
Look, Gary got himself into a little bit of trouble in the fall last year in the locker room. I think he fared a little bit better in the winter. So I don't think there was too much animosity. He's a little outnumbered, unfortunately, in that locker room, or he was outnumbered in that locker room. So I don't think it could cause so many waves, and there's just so many Duke guys there. It's everyone just rallied against them. Yeah. But we're here to talk about Jase Richardson, the number 25 pick in the NBA draft, someone that I think the Orlando Magic are really, really excited and happy to be there. Someone who, as you mentioned in the short that I aired on draft night, and I'm sure you talk about plenty on your podcast, a player who really does have lottery level talent. I will admit I am a Big Ten guy. I'm a Northwestern alum. Typically how I consume college basketball is when they play Northwestern, I get a sense of who they are. And I have to admit, I blacked out that Michigan State game, I think for good reason on my part. So for those of us who have never seen Jase Richardson play, what is the best way to describe his play and what he brought to the Spartans this year?
Oh man, well for Spartans, a savior. I mean, I don't think he's going to absolutely save NBA team season immediately in his rookie year, but oh my goodness, Michigan State doesn't have the year they have without Jase Richardson, and that might sound obvious, but not every NBA lottery talent is just ready to make an immediate impact on a game the way he did last year. In Michigan State, they won the Big Ten by 3 games. Now, if you don't have Jase Richardson, do you still win the Big Ten? Debatable, but luckily we don't have to debate because he was here and he offered 3-level scoring. And this was a Michigan State season which, as good as they were in every other facet of the game, they really had an issue scoring the three-point ball. Sometimes the offense would get a little stagnant. They always had the rebounding, the defending, the transition game, but sometimes in the half-court set, looking around being like, who's who's going to put this ball in the hoop right now? And sure enough, it was the spunky freshman, Jase Richardson, who, again, 3 levels. He can finish at the rim grade at 69%. His mid-range game, that lost art, which is still full and well here in East Lansing. We love ourselves a mid-range game up here. That was still great. And then 41% from 3. Oh, God, he was just a blessing to have on the court. So I've really tried to embrace the 1 year that we had, because I thought this was one of my early takes in the season that he's going to have his number in the rafters at Breslin Center one day. He's going to be that great of a 4-year player. Except one problem, he was too good, and he left after 1 year. So really appreciated what he did here in East Lansing in just 1 year for everything.
It kind of sounds like Michigan State ran the Magic's December offense, where they just didn't know how to score the basketball. But by golly, they will defend their hearts out, and you won't score either if that helps. You mentioned Jase having this three level scoring ability, and I mean, you look at his numbers. Obviously, like college numbers or college team dynamics are always a little bit different, but his numbers don't like pop off the page. 12.1 points per game hardly seems like a guy who's your like lead scorer and lead attacker. 41.2% 3-point shooting is awesome, but only 3.2 attempts per game. 83.6% free throw shooting, but only 3.4 attempts per game. Obviously, like his production and his play picked up toward the end of the season, especially when he entered the starting lineup. What sort of changed in him, or what aren't the numbers necessarily showing that makes him someone who can make this kind of an impact quickly?
Yeah, I think you're spot on with like the numbers don't tell the full story. And what you do have to look at is what you just kind of referenced there. Midway through the season, when he did get inserted into the starting lineup here, because I think that gave him not just the minutes, not just the shot opportunities, but also the confidence that, okay, yes, I am just a freshman. I do play Michigan State, which this year was a pretty deep team. Like we did go 9-10 deep into the bench. Everyone could be the leading scorer any given night, but him being inserted into the starting lineup kind of juxtaposed with some massive games around those times too. Like he single-handedly won us that Oregon game, which was massive. I'm sure, and it might sound
by the way, just have to remind everyone that's
true. Oh, well, of course. Oh, it's a historical Big Ten team, Oregon. Yeah. Oh, certainly. This is dyed in the wool Big Ten basketball we're talking right here. But no, it sounds cliche and corny, but I really do think that confidence gave him an extra boost to his game, where he would say at certain times in the game, like, okay, that's right. This is kind of my offense now and my team now. I'm going to take over when this team is really kind of looking a little in the half-court offense. He would, take the ball under his wing and go get a bucket. I mean, I know that doesn't really sound analytical or anything, but it kind of just did seem simple as that once he was thrown into the starting lineup here. And he never did look back. Now, I do think it is worth noting, yes, he didn't really get to the free throw line a lot. So that was never really an art of his game, which certainly both NBA, college, I'm sure it's gone down to the high school and AAU ranks now. Getting to the free throw line, that is part of the beautiful game of basketball now. He didn't really necessarily make that part of his game, but certainly, as you said, when he did get to the line, 84%, I mean, he's just a nice pure shooter. So that helps.
And just to give a sense of those numbers, since I have the time to look it up here, 15 starts at the end of the season, averaged 16.1 points per game, still shot 42% from 3, 69 over 15. If I can enter that in my calculator real fast, is 4.6 attempts per game, shot 47% from the floor. So efficiency went down a little bit. You would expect that when you get more shot attempts, but you always talk about guys getting better as the season moves on, especially as they're getting ready to maybe make the leap to the NBA. This is someone who got better as season run. And as you mentioned, like Michigan State does not go as far as they do. They don't win the Big Ten like they do. They don't win in the NCAA tournament. You don't want to put all the eggs of your analysis and your scouting in the NCAA tournament, but those are pressure games.
It's important. Yep.
And to show up under pressure when all eyes are on you, that does say something. What do you think will be, obviously, I think the reason why Jase slipped to 25, and it does really feel like he slipped to 25 is because of his size. And the NBA, like, these are big athletic guys. These are guys who are, there's a 7'6" guy doing what 6'5" guys do. Like that's right. That's the reality of the NBA. What's going to be the biggest challenge for Jase as he begins to translate to the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, it really just does come all down to the size, right? Like, what did he measure in socks? I think it was like 6'1",
6 foot and a quarter without shoes. So let's say 6'3", I believe in the program at Michigan State. He's probably like 6'1.5" with shoes.
Yeah, which, like, look, if that's me, I take that all day. I could use another 2 or 3. Who can
Yeah.
amongst us
I'm
guys,
listed as
right?
I'm listed as 6'3" in the program. Like, I get it.
Oh yeah, that's right. So look, but it's funny how like when you're an NBA prospect, you might as well just be a Kentucky Derby jockey if you measure it at 6 feet tall. Like, oh my God, this wee little lad is going to try to play some professional basketball. So it's ridiculous, but there is something to it. You do look around the league, like you do look at the guards that take their teams deep into the playoffs. And yeah, sure, Jalen Brunson, he's not 6'8" by any means, but those are not real common. Like that's just a kind of a rare story in this day and age of NBA basketball is that you do need some size. As elementary as it sounds, that could knock him down a few pegs. And I do wonder what that will mean for his defense because that was also a plus here for Michigan State. And that's what got him on the court so early. And even before our season here, the team took a trip to Spain, I believe it was, or somewhere overseas. And he was getting a lot of run against older, adult, experienced teams over there. And you get on the court here, and this is another cliche, and this is widespread amongst a lot of college basketball teams, but especially here in East Lansing, you get on the court when you play defense, and you could be an active rebounder. Like, Tom Izzo does not throw you on the court just because you're pretty good at scoring the ball. No. It starts on the other end, and he showed up ready to play some defense, which he did at an adequate to, I would say, a solidly above average level in college. Now that he's given up a few inches to pretty much every guy that he's going to see in the NBA. How much of a slip is that going to take? Philip, I really wish I was confident enough in my basketball analysis at the NBA level to have a strong takeaway, but that's where the concern's going to lie, right? Like, okay, yeah, he's going to play the 2 perhaps. Okay, the other team's 2 is going to be the 6'7" guy, maybe a 6'10" wingspan. How's that going to look on the other side? And even when he is on offense, Jase Richardson, which obviously we've talked glowingly about his offensive game, very quick off the bounce in college. Very rarely got into isolation basketball moments because he was so quick off the bounce. But if he's going up against a picket fence of a guy, is that going to slow his game down so much that's going to be detrimental? I don't think so. I love the kid. I saw him play for 30-plus games. I think the world of him. But once I take my green tinted glasses off, like that could be a concern, certainly at the next level.
Yeah, and I think that's where being on the Magic is going to be one of the more interesting fits because they have the size and the defense to cover for him a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more about that fit and where Jay still needs to improve. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a moment. Let's take a quick break from the conversation to tell you a little bit more about Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Whether you're trying to figure out how much you're spending on all those subscription services, trying to rein in that food delivery cost, Monarch Money helps you categorize everything that you're spending so you get a clearer picture of your financial health. We all need to take a better look at our health, financial health, just as important. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Once again, this is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic, joined by Matt Sheehan of Locked On Spartans to talk all things Jase Richardson as he begins the transition from green to the new shade of blue the Magic are wearing. I don't know what shade they're actually calling it, but
it's nice.
It's a nice shade. They did a great job. They did a great job with the new logo. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And Jase was, I think, the second current player to actually wear the new jersey.
Look at that. Okay.
With Desmond Bane got that on when he arrived here after the trade. Jase Richardson and Noah Penda were next. I'm still convinced that the promotional photos they sent us were photoshopped. So, and then I guess like
never.
KCP and Tristan Da Silva wore generic jerseys. I don't know if we count those. One of the first guys to wear the new Magic jersey. That's an aside. Before we talk about how Jase kind of transitions and maybe what you and I both see as his fit with this team or stuff like that. What's one area that Jase still needs? 18, 19 years old. He's not a finished product. He's a freshman, like you mentioned. What's one area that Jase still needs to improve upon to kind of reach his potential?
Another thing, offensively, because, he is so close. Like, he's pretty much there. If, you have any doubts in our confidence for his offensive ability, then you missed the first segment. I don't know what to tell you, but
rewind and listen to it.
Rewind and listen. We did so good, I think, that why not just give it a second go, right, Philip? But one knock that I kept reading, and I guess, hey, if the non-biased experts are saying it, if guys that actually analyze the NBA and not just a college basketball team that just kept on winning despite the shortcomings, okay, there might be a little bit of credence to it. And it is that, maybe he could use a little bit more right-handed play. For example, obviously, lefty's got the smooth left-handed stroke. Even on the right side of the hoop, you'd find a way to finagle his left hand and have that be his finishing hand, where you probably want all four limbs to be functional at that next level. Again, certainly, you heard us say the percentage numbers, whether it comes to finishing and that at 69% or the other twos at a high 40% clip. Like, it worked at the college level. But we all know this. There's a little bit of a difference between NBA and college basketball. So could he get a little more comfortable with his right hand, whether that be driving, whether that be finishing? I think that offensively could be the next step in his game too. And can I hijack the show for a quick question here?
No,
Phil,
go for it. Go for it. We're beginning to hand off to you asking me about his future. So
yeah, for sure. Because I do wonder, what do you think his immediate role will be? Like, will he have time, or will this be a baptism by fire? He's going to play high percentage minutes with high percentage usage, or where do you see him at right now? Like, sixth guy, eighth guy? Is he starting? Take me away here.
So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the Magic use him, because while I really like the pick, but Jase Richardson goes really against the type of players the Magic typically pick. Like the Magic have, like, you look at their team, it's Paolo, Banchero, Franz Wagner, 6'10", big ball handlers. They have Jalen Suggs, who's, built like a tank.
That's right.
They added Desmond Bane, who's also kind of built like a tank. Desmond Bane goes a little against the type. We always used to joke that, when it comes to the draft, you go to the draft combine page, sort everyone by wingspan, and just pick off all the guys with the longest wingspans. It is a running joke. The front office knows the joke. Everybody around the league knows the joke. And so for the Magic to draft a guy who was dinged for being small, and look, he's at the combine, he measured 6'125" without shoes, height, measured with a 6'6" wingspan. So the wingspan was a plus. If he's 6'125" with 6'3" wingspan, the Magic don't even touch him. Like, that's just not their philosophy, because a lot of their defense is about switching and being able to do multiple coverages and being able to they're very big on, you guard your yard. You guard the man in front of you. We'll switch. We're not going to get distracted by ball screens. You're going to have to guard a lot of different positions on this team. And so the fact that he, despite his size, despite any shortcomings he has, he's a willing defender. That's half the battle. That gets you in the door with this Magic team, just like it gets you on the floor with Tom Izzo. I think there's definitely a good vibe and philosophy on that. I'll say this. I don't think the Magic view him as a point guard. I know Jase is very, very eager to show that he can play point guard. And then I'll circle back and ask you a little bit about that. The Magic are doing this weird thing where they do like point guard by committee. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Desmond Bane have all averaged 5 assists per game or more in their careers. Jalen Suggs is the point guard in name in the starting lineup. I think he can become a better playmaker. The Magic just want guys who can do everything. Like, they're not really looking for a point guard. And as I say this, we're recording this on Monday afternoon. We don't know what the Magic have done in free agency quite yet. So talk to future me later. I think that the Magic view him as a guard they can bring off the bench that gives them some spark plug scoring. They traded Cole Anthony away in the Desmond Bane trade. I think they see Jase filling the role that Cole Anthony gave them, where he was a spark plug scorer off the bench, and they view Jase as a potentially more efficient scorer. Cole did a lot of really good things, but efficiency was not one of them. And they view him as a better defender. And Cole, again, willing defender, just didn't have the tools to be good on defense. And so I think they view Jase as a potentially like better defender in that spot. Again, I think the Magic do view him as a rotation player, and they want to give him the room to be in the rotation. And obviously injuries are going to hit. It's an 82-game season. A lot of stuff happens. I think that part of the issue is going to be, again, we're recording this on Monday afternoon. This could be completely wrong. So I'll either edit this out or freezing cold take myself later. We're expecting the Magic to sign Tyus Jones or another point guard this offseason. And that, to me, does compress Jase Richardson's playing time because you can't play Jason Tyus together. They're both too small.
That'd be tough.
You can maybe play Jason lineups with Bane and Anthony Black. So Bane's playing the 3, Black's playing the 2. The Magic have the flexibility to find lineups that work for him. And again, maybe signing another point guard is a sign that we drafted a guy who can contribute to our team. And the Magic are trying to win. They're trying to go deeper in the playoffs. Like they've obviously signaled that with the moves they've made. But we can also still give him room to develop and make some mistakes too. In lineups that protect him and protect his weaknesses a little bit. It's hard to say exactly what his role is going to be. Again, as we're recording this Monday afternoon, I'd slot Jase Richardson as the backup point guard playing alongside Anthony Black in the backcourt. Again, a guy that can cover for his defense, for any defensive shortcomings he might have, take those bigger defenders that Richardson may not be able to defend as well. You can always play him with Suggs. You can always play him with Bane. There's always a guy back there to help him out. And then you have your backline defenders like Jonathan Isaac, Goga Batadze. Like the Magic have enough defensive cover, the second best defensive team in the league last year.
Yeah, right.
The unfortunate thing about recording this before free agency is I don't know what the roster looks like after the dust settles. I do think the Magic want to give him a pathway to play, and that's why I'm still again, as we're recording here Monday afternoon, a little skeptical about the Tyus Jones thing, but the Magic also need a point guard. They need an organizer. They just need to have one in reserve. And so it's hard to say, but Magic fans know this extremely well. I hinted at it when we were talking about Michigan State's offense. The Magic were the worst 3-point shooting team in the league last year. They need more guys who can attack off the dribble. They need more guys who can just score, just do offensive things, do more than one offensive thing. Like Jase Richardson, to me, can be a catch and shoot guy. He can be an attacker. He can go off closeouts. He can go out in transition. Like he is someone that he is the exact kind of guard the Magic should be targeting. And so I think they'll find a way to get him on the floor, again, in certain lineups.
Excellent. I mean, because that's interesting too, because he wasn't necessarily like a full-on point guard here. I mean, we had Jeremy Fears was our number 1 guy, Trey Holloman our number 2 guy, but it's not to say that he didn't have any ball handling ability. So I do wonder, again, because, you don't know if you have Tyus Jones or not, or, what the other guard situation looks like. That will be interesting to see, though, like if he does get any minutes as an NBA point guard this early in his career to, to kind of show his stuff, so to speak. But yeah, that's good to know, at least, that he's got at least some time to work things out. Yes, it was baptism by fire-ish here at Michigan State, but a little harder doing that in the NBA. And that's why I was so happy it was a bummer to see him slide out of the lottery. Obviously, we want all of our Spartans to go as high as humanly possible. But once it got to like the 19s or the 20s, I remember texting my brother, like, Orlando would be a really nice spot for him right now. Like, that is a ready-to-win now team. They do have some guards around him that he can kind of learn under. It won't be a rush process. And, by the way, like the Orlando Magic jersey with the Disney patch, that goes so hard. Like, that's a trifecta of reasons why, maybe this is like a good place to slide. Because traditionally, if you slid that far, okay, no matter what, a good team's going to take you. This is great. But now with all the trades, and the Nets having 68,000 picks, the Hornets having like a pick late, it's like, oh, God, this could actually be worst case scenario of not just missing out on the lottery, but also still landing with a lottery level team, which the Magic are not these days. So that was exciting to see on draft night.
Yeah. And like that's a double-edged sword because, you land with a team like the Hornets, and obviously the Hornets have made some moves. They got LaMelo Ball, but they're a team that needs anything they can find. Like you trade winning for opportunity. And you get opportunity, you get to make mistakes, but losing sucks. Like we all know losing sucks. Like Magic fans will tell you, losing sucks. And nothing develops a player better than actually winning. The problem is if you're on a winning team, you do have to win. If you cannot give them something in the short term, I don't think Jase is going to play at all in the G League. I think he's too good for the G League level. Okay. But you end up, if Jase is out of the rotation and Osceola has a string of home games and the Magic are maybe out west or wherever, maybe he gets a spot game in Osceola or Osceola with Osceola Magic. Like if he needs the run, he needs the run. Like there's nothing replaces a 5-on-5 game.
Right.
I don't think the Magic want to do that, but finding playing time becomes more difficult because you have to contribute to winning. Let's dive into that then in our last segment and talk a little bit more about some of those intangible things about Jase, what he brought to Michigan State. We hinted at a lot of it already, but we'll talk more about those intangible things. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. Once again, our final segment here. This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic, joined by Matt Sheehan of Locked On Spartans, as we take a look at Jase Richardson, all facets of Jase Richardson, not Jason Richardson. We like Jason Richardson too, former Magic guy. So happy to have him. So happy to have him back in the building. I hope he's around a lot more. Jason Richardson's time in Orlando, not the best. Happened at the end of the Dwight Howard era. Not his fault. He had some great moments in Magic uniform. Some really good moments. Obviously, a fantastic career and one of the Michigan State legends. He was one of the Flintstones, right?
Yeah, he was like certainly in that era, early 2000s, just a dunking superstar even before he reached the NBA. So yeah, he's been bringing the juice to East Lansing for as long as I can remember. I was about 7, 8 years old when he was in the green and white.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit older. I was a Gator fan growing up. A lot of Spartan nightmares from the Citrus Bowl to the national championship game. A lot of Spartan nightmares.
Great times. That's right.
Not so good for me. But let's dive into some of the intangibles about Jase Richardson. We talked a little bit about him trying to like prove that he can be a point guard, and that's something he's kind of said publicly. And obviously, you do what your team needs you to do. But with the size, it feels like he has to play point guard to be successful. And that's obviously something he didn't do very much at Michigan State. You mentioned there were like more veteran players. There are other players that filled that role. Michigan State, a little bit more maybe egalitarian with how they do that role. Do you think that Jase can make that transition to being kind of the organizer or kind of lead guard in that sense?
I think so because, we talked so much about his scoring and his offense. And one thing that I haven't really mentioned, which I'm sorry it's taken me 24 minutes to get to this at this point, but his work with the ball, finding other teammates, finding the holes was outstanding last season as a freshman, especially. You don't see that basketball IQ until a guy's junior or senior season. So yes, while he didn't have a lot of point guard duties by definition, that didn't short him from making some great dynamic plays out there, whether it was cutting baseline, dumping the ball off just as the big man's defenders coming down for help, or just finding a guy just in the middle of a zone, perhaps when an opponent would deploy that against Michigan State, against our not so great three-point shooting last year. I think he was really dynamic with the ball. So, and the reason, maybe it wasn't a lot of point guard is the first reason that we mentioned, we've already had a guy named Jeremy Fears. He's a sophomore, a little bit of seniority to him. Trey Holloman, he's a junior. Okay, maybe it's a seniority thing, but also more so, Jeremy Fears is not really a 3-level scorer. Like, can he score? Sure. I'm not going to bring you the whole history here and bore all you guys, but
his brother's better.
His brother might be a little better. Yeah. A lot of career left for both of these guys. But,
True.
Could possibly be just a little better than, but look, when you had Jeremy Fears and Jason in the court at the same time, it's very obvious, who the two-man, the scorer is going to be here in this lineup and who's just going to take care of all the ball handling and facilitating duties first. So that was the other thing, too. It's that when those guys are sharing the court, Jase had to play off ball. He had to get himself in scoring opportunities a little bit more than Jeremy. But do I see it? Could it happen? Would I be shocked if one day, 4 years down the road, he is playing a lot of point guard for the Magic? No, not at all. Would I expect it as early as year one? I don't know. We'll see. I'm certainly going to have the opportunity to do so from what I understand. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's going to, again, the Magic are very kind of loosey-goosey with roles. Like they want everyone to do everything, which again, I think it fit. It seems like it fits Jase. Like it seems like they want the reason why they would take a guy like Jase Richardson is you're like, you may not be able to play full-time point guard, but he can do point guard things, which is nice. We kind of skated over it. You mentioned when you play for a coach like Tom Izzo, you do not get on the floor without playing defense.
Correct.
That is a bedrock principle of the Spartans program.
Yeah.
That is just a bedrock. That's why Tom Izzo is a Hall of Famer, national championship coach. You pencil Michigan State into the Sweet 16. It doesn't matter their seed because it's January, February Izzo. That
right.
is the reality. And you don't get there without defense. What stands out about the way Jase Richardson defends and maybe the way that he makes up for that, supposed height disadvantage?
Yeah, it was interesting that you brought up the wingspan numbers. I definitely thought it was, fine enough, but 6'6". I mean, that's certainly one thing that helps. But he does have the quick hands too. I mean, very quick. But above all, it's just that he keeps the guy in front. It's very hard to beat him off the dribble, is what I noticed. And when it does happen, he certainly does have good recovery speed. And more times than not, you're going to pass him off to the big man for help side defense. But I thought his recovery speed was fine enough. But it's the rare instances where he had to show recovery speed because he was just that good laterally at defense, in my opinion, of just keeping the game in front of him. So whether that was isolation, whether that was guys just trying to beat him off the dribble immediately, I thought he was adequate enough with all of that. And that was even seen, again, like not to bring this up again, it wasn't even on television, but these 3 exhibitions that they had against professional teams in Spain, again, these guys are late 20s, early 30s, grown men, professional players, holding his own and more against those guys. That's when I really thought, like, okay, we could see a kind of somewhat special season from Jase this freshman year. Now, of course, I was wrong because it wasn't somewhat special. It was just straight up amazing. So, yeah, that's where it all starts, just before he even gets himself into trouble. It's keeping the game in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just from a personal standpoint, and I'm curious what you think. Just listening the way that he spoke to the media, seems like obviously he's got a dad who played in the NBA, so I think that gives an advantage of knowing how to carry yourself and what's coming. But what stands out to him as someone who follows and covers the team? What stands out to you about him as a person?
Yeah, and this was kind of reflective amongst the whole team, and like pretty much the thesis of last year's Michigan State team. It was completely selfless. And I know that, okay, everyone says that about their team, but man, it truly felt like that last year because any given night, anyone could be a leading scorer. I think Michigan State had something like 11 separate leading scorers throughout the entire season. It could be anyone's night, any given time, and everyone's ego would take a back seat. No one really seemed too arrogant. Even a guy like Jase, the guy who was playing himself towards being a hopeful lottery pick, eventually a first-round pick, which is still pretty great. He never really showed like arrogance in front of a microphone and anything. But what I really, noticed, and this is at the end of last year, is that after a regular season of so many big performances, single-handedly dragging Michigan State to wins, you get 2 very emotionally fueled games against Michigan. He plays great in both of those, plays really good in the Big Ten tournament. But then second-round game against New Mexico, that was a Jase Richardson we had never seen before. I'm looking at the box score right now. He's 1 of 10 shooting. That basket came like very late in the game, less than 2 minutes. He seemed out of sorts, and he was actually very transparent and open that I was actually like kind of nervous. I forgot what his actual quote was, but it went something along the lines of like, I was starting to feel like the pressure. So what did he do in the Sweet 16 game? How did he bounce back from that? Did he ever get that monkey off his back? Well, how about 6 of 8 shooting? How about 20 points against Ole Miss to help Michigan State get to the Elite 8? And they don't win that Ole Miss game without Jase Richardson. I mean, that was a hairy game against a gritty, defensive-minded running Rebels team, and he was able to break them and guide us through. So even when he cracks, he's aware of it, he's open about it, but more importantly, he's shown the bounce-back ability. He's a headstrong kid.
Yeah, and that's obviously there are a lot of NBA games. You need to be able to bounce back very, very quickly.
Oh yeah,
at this level, it's a lot. It's so much. Matt, I want to thank you for joining me on the show, telling my listeners a little bit more about Jase Richardson. I hope Spartans fans got a good sense of where he stands with the Magic. And again, I apologize. We're recording this before free agency. Conditions are subject to change. But even then, even if the Magic do sign Tyus Jones, I think the Magic will find a way to get him on the floor and he'll get his opportunity. I say this, the NBA season is so long and you're going to have random injuries. You're going to have guys miss games. You need everybody on the roster. Jase will get his turn and get his opportunity. And obviously the Magic are invested in him with a first-round pick. They won't have a first-round pick next year. So it's, this is for the next 2 years. And so they obviously want the most out of him. I think they're very invested in him. Matt, once again, thanks for joining the show. And hopefully we will see you down the road, my friend.
No, thank you, Philip. This is awesome. And yeah, go Magic. That's right. We're big Magic people up here in East Lansing. Let's go.
I will bite my tongue and say, go green, go white.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. I'll even throw to the Gator Chop right now, too.
You guys do the Gator Chop for the Dudley Do-Right cheer.
You know what? Anywhere we could break bread collegiately, I'm all for it for the most part. For the most part,
except for that team South.
That's right.
Have a good one, man.
You as well.
I want to thank Matt for joining the show. Again, we recorded this on Monday afternoon before free agency, so I apologize for some of the awkward phrasing. We did pretty much know they were going to sign Tyus Jones, so I hope that is reflected in the conversation. But great information on the Magic's newest player in Jase Richardson. Got to learn a lot about him, so I want to appreciate Matt. Go check him out at Locked On Spartans. Considering the Magic have, I think, 2 other Spartans on their summer league team, Franz, Mo, and Jet might be feeling a little bit of competition with Gary Harris out of the way. The green is still going strong with the Orlando Magic. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. You, of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast and Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the formats you download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, including my early Eastern Conference power rankings, which I'll be writing today, you can find that on my Patreon page at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. I am hoping as well to do a film study on Tyus Jones. I'm also hoping to do a film study on the Magic's 2 rookies if I can find some video clips that I can cut out and edit there as well. That's only on my Patreon page, your Orlando Magic Hub, patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done making Locked On Magic your first listen of the day, go make Locked On NBA your second listen of the day, because there is no offseason. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That's going to do it for me this week as far as planned episodes. I am going to take the 4th of July off, so I appreciate everyone allowing me to do that. We will be back Monday, and we will talk Tyus Jones. I will be back Monday. Next week, we will talk Tyus Jones. I spoke with the host of Locked On Suns about Tyus Jones, so we'll get a good episode on that. We will talk what to expect from Summer League. We will start getting into Summer League. And of course, July 6th is the end of the moratorium. We'll get the official signings for Tyus Jones. We'll hopefully see some action on Mo Wagner and Paolo Banchero. If either of those 2 things happen, I will come back with an episode when they happen. So I will not leave you in the dark on that. Again, follow the socials to stay up to date on everything going on with the Orlando Magic. But that's going to do it for me this week. Have a very great holiday weekend. Happy Independence Day. And we will see you all again Monday or Sunday evening for another episode of Locked On Magic.